Orlando this weekend. Oscar's teams always seem to have a lot of passion. They kind of ride that line, maybe of either over the top or just enough. What do you think is it Oscar? What do you think Oscar does to get his players to play with that much fire and intensity all the time?
Yeah, I think his teams are always prepared. They're always hungry. They play with a great level of passion, but it's because that's the way Oscar played. I mean, I played against Oscar when he was in the league, so we know each other from that perspective. He was that kind of player as well. He has fire in him, and it's the same thing as a coach.
They do possess a lot of talent across the front line there. Just what do you guys need to do to slow them down and to kind of keep some of that star power off the score sheet?
Yeah, those guys, where their difficult is that they can make stuff through combination play, but they can also hurt you on the counter. So it's one of those things where you got to be. I would say you've got to be very alert with them because you can't lose concentration, because if you do, they can hit you in many different ways. And so I think it's really being focused and concentrated for the 90 minutes.
They have shown at times too this year that they can be picked apart at times. Just what do you guys need to do to ultimately get a result?
I think look, I think in this game, I don't think that talking about what the recipe is never very difficult. It's actually going and executing. Always, you no matter what, you want to be very careful of not giving up the ball in dangerous areas on the field, because and you mentioned it earlier, them in the attack, when you play against teams that are very good in both aspects, as I said, either through combination play, build it up, type thing, breaking you down, or that team can counter you, it can be a very long day if you're not good with the ball. I would say the other is that what you also conversely have to do in games like this is that when you get your chances, you have to take them. You can't expect that you're going to get a lot of them, because they defend well. They're a tough group like that, so they're not going to give up a lot of chances.
I know you've been working Joaquin into a mini preseason sort of scenario. How's he doing? Where's he at? Is there a timeline you think he'll be available?
He's good. I mean, he's doing well. We're kind of doing a combination of things where he's training a little bit, but we're also doing some extra fitness with him, which again, as I alluded to before, that it's a mini preseason, hybrid preseason, start season type thing for him. He won't be available for this weekend, but we're working, towards that. I don't know what the timetable is yet, because some of it is the fact that after the next two games we have a bye, and we'll have some more training, and it's really going to depend on how he recovers because we'll be able to put him under a little bit more load during that time. So some of it's going to be how he recovers from that. But I'm hoping it's going to be sometime thereafter these next two games.
Speaking of these next two games, and I know you will always preach you focus on the next game, but you do have a very important games, the second game. How much does that come into play of how you balance this?
It does. There's going to be some rotation of players for this game too. And the other thing is it's the close proximity of the game. It'd be different if even if it was on Wednesday. In fact, it's on Tuesday. It even puts a little bit more on that. So we're going to have some rotation of our team going into that, going into this game and then going into the next, just because of what could be the circumstances going into the next one.
Again, I know we're focused on the Orlando game, but Indy 11 has done well to get to the semifinals of the Open Cup. What can you tell us about them?
Yeah, I think you're right. They have done well. They believe in themselves and the way they play. They're a big team. They've done well, not only in their league but also against obviously MLS teams as well.
You mentioned it would be nice even better for you guys if that game was on Wednesday. Originally, the Seattle-LA semifinal was on Tuesday and got moved. Is there any frustration, disappointment that your game?
No, I know why it is the way it is. So there's nothing I can do about it. It's just the way it is. But I mean, look, we'll just deal with it. We're good.
And then Feilhaber is being honored this weekend. What can you say about him deserving to be up there?
Yeah, Benny was. I remember when I got Benny, when we went after Benny, it was at that time where our league was and where we were. We were playing against a lot of teams at that time, especially in 2012, that were starting to park the bus on us, and we really didn't have a good way to unlock defenses like that, and it was more of just a barrage of balls in the box, and we were very athletic, but that doesn't necessarily rule the day every day, and sometimes you have to have something else that can do that, a bit of skill. And I had known Benny from the 20s, and even though in the 20s he played a different role, which was, I wouldn't not going to say he was defensive, but he was for sure a two-way player. He kind of got away from that after he left that U20 team and spent some time in Europe. He was more of an old school number 10 in a lot of places. But when he came to us, had to break him a little bit of that and get him back to being a two-way guy, and it took a little while, but credit to him, he got that. And Benny was a very strong player in the midfield for us, which I think over time he started to really respect the defensive side of the position, because it's an important aspect in dominating your opponent that you're playing against a lot in the game. Was good, and the important thing was when he came in, he provided us with that ability to unlock defenses at times. For sure helped us get into the final, both on the game here at home against Houston and the second leg against New England. When he basically gave the final pass to Bieler, who scored the third goal, to get into the final. So I mean, Benny was an important player for a lot of years, and also I think Benny always had personality too, and I think that's important in a team.
A lot of the highs in his career came in Kansas City, and I got to talk to him yesterday.
All of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He credited a lot of that to you helping bring out the best of him. How do you think you helped bring out the best in him?
Because I was fortunate enough to know him when he was younger, and I knew what he was capable of, and so I truly went back and the thing I always knew about Benny is that he and it's something I've always appreciated. He loves the game, like he loves soccer, and you can always then push that, use that against somebody, and I did. I was hard on Benny, but I needed to be, because that's the only way that I could get out of him what he had in him and what we needed. And you could ask him, and especially in his first year, I think towards the end of the season, I probably benched him the last so many games. But credit to him, he was going to 24-hour fitness or something and doing extra work to be fit to get on the team so that he could then perform the way that the expectations were, and I give him a lot of credit for that. But that's why you become good. Oh, sorry.
How's his progression into being a coach?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think any coach, I just don't think any coach would say when you first start it's easy. I think you're drinking through a fire hose is what I think happens, and I think for him it's the same, and it's been good. I think he's been tested a lot, and he's been given a lot of responsibility. He's been given a lot of opportunity to do different things within the job that maybe you don't always get, but he's gotten that here, and I think it's been really good for him.
And then how much of a positive is it for the club to have former players pretty much all the way down through the chain into the team?
I think it sounds good. I mean, I always think it sounds good, but I think at the end of the day, it always is important for what anybody who is in any position is what they're providing. So it's great. It sounds really good, but you got to be providing something that's of value to the club. And so, but we've been fortunate. A lot of guys have participated and done well, and that's a good thing. And but also guys have also moved on to other things too, and that's good too.
With Saturday's game, you guys had this little bit of ways off after that Columbus game. Where do you feel like the group is going into this final stretch of the season, also with the Open Cup semifinal kind of looming in the background?
I feel like we're in a good place. Sort of very similar situation we were last year coming out of Leagues Cup. A bit of a mountain to climb, knowing exactly what we have to do. and all our focus is set on that. Obviously, you've got the added bonus of having the semi-final to come as well, which is obviously an exciting time. But first things first, we know what we have to do in the league to get ourselves in any sort of position going in with a chance to get back in the playoff hunt.
What do you feel like this team needs to do to accumulate points that you might want over this time period, and to have that kind of stretch run that you look back and say, okay, we closed out the season on the right note?
I think our consistency has probably been our biggest downfall this year. That's something we have to get back. We play so well in periods of games and then cause our own problems that ultimately affects the result of the game. We either switch off, whether that's mentally in the game, we switch off at certain times, and so many times this year it's cost us big, causing our own mistakes, individual mistakes, team mistakes. There's been so many this year that have caused us problems. Like I said, we're a team that shouldn't be in the position we're in for the team that we have, but we find ourselves there because of ourselves. There's no one else to blame. There's no outside issues on that. It's all down to the guys that are on the field for 90 minutes. For whatever reason, we very rarely have put a complete 90 minutes together this year, and that has to be eradicated if we've got any chance of getting ourselves back in the run. We know that, but like you said, it's familiar territory. We done it last year. We know we're capable of doing it. We're just going to have to go and do it again.
And how do you kind of balance it with, two big matches? Like you said, you guys need points in the league now, and then you also have a big matchup with the Open Cup a couple days after that. How do you kind of balance that with two matches so close?
It's nothing new. We went through a stretch there before the Leagues Cup where we played a lot of games in a small amount of time as well. So we all know that it's going to be difficult. It's a short turnaround to obviously play and then get your body right for the next game, but we've got enough players, we've got staff that are help, we've got the best facilities here to help us in every aspect of that. So there'll be no excuses in the short turnaround. We know exactly what we have to do in the first game, and then we know what we have to do to get ready for the second one as well. So two exciting games, obviously, but like I said in the previous question, that all focus is on this first one. Once this one's out the way, and hopefully it's 3 points, then we can look to enjoy the semi-final.